Hi guys, it's me Charmise, aka Professor Mo, and I'm back with another video from my public speaking series. So today we are continuing to talk about delivering your speech, but today I'm gonna highlight the voice. I want to give you a couple quick exercises that you can do as you prepare for your speeches just to make sure that you sound the way that you plan to. And I also want to give you a couple different tips of information. So today we're talking about just how to use your voice, a couple quick tips, and a couple exercises. So as it relates to public speaking, your voice kind of matters. It matters because you're talking. I know one of the things that I have learned, because I had looked into voiceovers, and one of the tips, no, not voiceovers, I looked into reading for audiobooks, because one of the books that I wrote, I was like, I want to do the audio for it. And one of the tips gave sound advice, but the primary tip that they gave was ways to warm up your vocals, and also things that you should not do if you are going to be speaking. And I found it so interesting that you should not be doing a whole bunch of dairy, because you're going to get phlegmy. You don't want that. You don't want to be phlegmy. So a couple different ideas on exercising your instrument and preparing yourself for speeches are to hum, practice tongue twisters, and to do a breath check. So just humming, that is a really good one to do. And then the tongue twisters, I'm not gonna say you should do tongue twisters or you shouldn't. I definitely feel like you should, but the better T here is to practice pronunciation of the information that you're sharing. Look it up in a dictionary or look it up on the internet and push the sound button so you know exactly how to pronounce the information that you're sharing. If you can't pronounce it, find a synonym. That's a better idea. But if you do want to practice tongue twisters, I think it can be advantageous, because if you have certain sentences or phrases that are going to catch you up, then practicing the tongue twisters gives you the opportunity to modify how fast or slow you speak, and that way you can still share the information that you're sharing. I always do tongue twister information exercises with my students. I do it 2 different times throughout the term, and the major takeaway is sometimes you just need to slow it down. Slow it down so the audience can really hear the information that you're sharing and they don't miss a word, or you don't glance over a word because you don't know how to pronounce it, or you don't enunciate enough for the audience to actually know what you're saying. So we talked about hums and tongue twisters. Then we just talked about breathers. I think it's important to find your breath. I think it's important to have a deep belly breath if possible. And I also think it's important to include some delivery cues in your notes for your speech to give you an opportunity to breathe. I think, those pauses in between certain information that you share is important. And I think getting rid of those nerves and just doing those belly breaths as you are speaking can mitigate a lot of things. So humming, tongue twisters, and breathing is going to be clutch. And then, I already shared my tip about the dairy. I already shared my tip. But your voice is the instrument and people need to hear you. And I think it's super important to fine tune said instrument. And I think it's also important to understand if you have, I know I'm talking lower than I normally talk because my baby's asleep, but there are people who are not sure how to amplify their instrument, and that's something that I'm just kind of going rogue. But if you speak really low or you speak really loud, there are ways to fine tune that part of the instrument. If you speak really low, I highly recommend that you walk the room a little bit or pace so that you can allow everybody to hear you. If you talk really loud, you don't need a mic, baby. You can take it a step back. And then I would encourage you to pause as much as possible. Obviously not too many seconds. And I would also encourage you to breathe so that you're not yelling at the audience. Some people are not born with an inside voice. My husband doesn't have one, okay? And it's important to just rehearse practice all the moves you're going to do, practice the ways you're going to emphasize things, and then you can take a step back and make modifications as you need to. So as you are fine-tuning your instrument and exercising and planning for your speech, just like I'm recording myself now, you could potentially record yourself and see how you sound. And that will give you the opportunity to, again, make some modifications and make it work for you. So your voice is the instrument. You have the right to exercise the instrument and prepare as best as possible. And dairy, the morning of your speech, the night before your speech, don't have no ice cream and a bunch of milk. You don't want to sound phlegmy. I'll see you guys next time.